Hello,
and there we are.
There we
We
are.
are back.
Wow, it is hard to believe that
The summer just whoop.
I was
It
going to
flew
say
by.
it has been a
It's
long
over,
time.
and it's time for season number.
What are we
28?
on 11?
I don't
are we
know.
on 58? Sometimes it feels that way, doesn't it?
One of these days we need to count.
No, we're glad
That
to
was
be
like
back
the longest
with you.
laugh ever.
I know. It was like, going, yeah, she's right. We
It's
are
about
glad
as
to
long
be
as
back
the
with
summer
you.
was though.
Do what?
Nothing. Just keep going.
I was going to say it's been a long time, Erin, and a lot's happened in our world.
A lot has happened in our world
since being a part of the Hey Joe Show, being a part of the Light Network, and trying to get seasons started regularly, right? So anyhow, we're glad to be back. I don't know if you want to bring everybody up to speed on what's been going on in our world
quickly,
or not,
because
or
we
what?
said we weren't going to talk as much in the intro. Boom. Gotta
Yeah, I know.
get through. A lot's happened. Let's see. Our oldest graduated. He goes to college on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Talked a little bit about that last season, and now it's here. Let's see. I took him on a senior trip, came home. He started a full-time job. I went to 4 Bible camps this summer, a retreat. Let me think what else. A work trip, about 20 states, and you were speaking at a different place about every Wednesday and Sunday in between that time.
Week it felt like, yeah.
And that pretty much catches us all up.
Yeah. So anyhow,
with a couple birthday parties and graduation party thrown in.
It has no doubt been a very busy summer for us, but we're glad to be back on. And I tell you what, we're excited about this season's.
But real quickly, since we did take the time,
Yeah.
I want to hear some of the things you did this summer as well, because we've missed you, our audience. There's a lot of you that we interact with, so I want to hear what you did now that you had to listen to our laundry list of things that we did. Tell us what you did this summer.
Yeah, we want to know. We want to know, what do the Hey Joe Show listeners do throughout the year? And so bring us up to speed. Catch us up.
Hi, Carrie. Congratulations, Jonathan. Some good news for some of our listeners. That's awesome. New jobs.
Hey, there you go, because I can't see them, so you're feeding them to me.
Okay, well, there you go.
Actually,
I'm gonna keep it all a secret. I'm going to know all the things.
Hey, if that's Jonathan that I know of, I think I know who you're talking about and what the new job is, so congratulations.
Yay.
So anyhow, hey, this season of the Hey Joe Show, we're going to strive to do some cool things from the standpoint of addressing a lot of health type issues.
Yes, we
are.
are.
But we're also going to be utilizing people who know a lot more than we know. Sorry, I had to adjust that microphone. We're going to be utilizing people that know a lot more than we know when it comes to health, when it comes to emotional well-being, when it comes to physical well-being, things along those lines.
Yes, you do not have to worry. It's not going to be us just telling you that. We're actually going to go to the experts.
All right, so what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to bring in more interviews this season. So every season of the Hey Joe Show, what we try to do is we try to stay trendy. We try to stay up to date.
we try to stay trendy.
Obviously, our dress is very trendy. I mean, we really bring it. You got to admit, my clothes are improving. Come on.
Well, I don't know if people can really notice, but your flamingos on your shirt
are rocking, aren't they?
Looks like you're ready for the summer to begin, not end.
Well, I will tell you this. It is something that if I can wear a button-up shirt that I don't have to tuck in, but it looks nice, then I will do that every time. So
I have a pretty cool jumpsuit on, but you can't tell it's a jumpsuit because I'm sitting.
So while we try
Why are we talking about our clothes?
Because we are trendy.
Joe, you are the king of tangents. You're doing it.
This is probably true. That's why you bring an element to the show that I will
never
bring
be able
to bring.
Back on track.
So here's the deal. While we try to be cool and trendy, we always want to stay true to the purpose of the Hey Joe Show. So here's the neat thing about podcasts. And some of you throughout the country, those of you who listen to this, you've come up to me and you've told me different things that you like about our podcast. And one of those was that our format is a husband and a wife format. And then some of you really like the banter. You like it when Erin, tries to correct me. And I, like a good husband, I just take it. And so some of you really like that. Others of you have expressed that you really enjoy the cultural discussions that we have.
Yes, that is probably the number one feedback we get.
Yeah, and so we want to keep all of those things going.
Like you said, though, truthful. We can be trendy in our own minds.
Yeah.
But truthful. And that's what people even said. They like the format, but they also like the scripture to go along with it. So
what we're going to do is we're going to keep all of that together, right? But what we're going to bring to the table this year for this particular season are interviews, okay? And so where we begin today is obviously no interview. You're like, well, you said you're bringing interviews, and then you don't bring interviews, right?
It's the first one.
Give us
we
a
just
break.
Have to talk about bringing in
That's right. All the deal is if we overpromise, you're impressed. Isn't that the way it works?
Wait, what?
Wait, we're supposed to underpromise and over...
Yeah, I think you got that backward.
Wait, maybe I got that wrong. No, anyhow. Now, what we're going to do tonight, though, as we start this off, we're not going to reveal all the subjects that we're going to cover, but we want to cover one tonight with everyone starting back in their schooling. High school kids are going back. Elementary kids are going back. College kids are going, either going for the first time. Wah, wah, wah.
Wah, wah. Speaking of, we need our college assistant to come over and, move one of the cameras.
Uh-oh, what's wrong?
Look, this is, blocking my face.
And you don't want to block her face.
What? No,
I think you got to move it to
one.
Oh, I don't even know what to say about that.
It might just be that way. There might be a reason behind this. Thanks a lot, guys.
You're the looks of the show. I mean, we definitely don't want to change that because otherwise they're looking at me, and that's not good. So here's the deal, though. With everybody going back to school, with teachers going back to school, there is a lot of stress. Speaking of health and health issues, right? Sometimes
it's a stressful time.
Yes, and sometimes health is not, well, did I eat 3 pieces of cake or only 2 pieces of cake, right?
Well, yeah, because we both know neither of those are healthy.
Well, it depends. Maybe they're vegan. I don't know. Maybe they're vegan pieces of cake. I don't know. But here's the deal. Stress is a major component to health because stress impacts our cardiovascular system. Stress impacts our relationships. Stress impacts our mental, emotional well-being. So you have an impact.
It makes you moody sometimes.
Well, you said it makes you moody. Are you suggesting that
yes,
I am
and I was looking
moody?
Straight at you.
I noticed you were. You weren't even kind of playing that off. You were really hitting that one.
You as in mankind.
You as in mankind. Well, thank you for being generic with that. I thought it was quite interesting, though. I'm looking up here on the Mayo Clinic's website just some of the common effects of stress. You ready for this?
Oh, I'm sure I probably know.
On your body, headaches. If you have an unreasonable amount of headaches, and not because the barometric pressure is changing, that could be a sign of stress.
If you start listing loss of taste, smell, chills, it might be. It could be something else.
COVID. We're not dealing with stress at that point.
I wasn't even going to say the word, but
yeah.
okay.
Oh, that thing. Muscle tension or pain, chest pain, fatigue, stomach upset, or lack of ability to sleep or sleeping problems are all physical side effects or signs of stress.
Wait, so they headaches,
muscle
lack
tension,
of sleep,
lack of sleep,
okay,
chest pain, fatigue if you're tired all the time, right? Now, here's the deal, too.
Or you could just be a mom. Okay. Anyway.
It's possible, or you could be a teenager with a lot of hormones going on and don't know what to do with them, right? So here's the deal. Also, on our moods, you were right. Anxiety.
Oh, did you say I was right?
Yes, you
Let's
were right.
pause that moment for just a minute. Okay, all right.
Okay, we're done with the minute. Okay, so anxiety is a real issue when it comes to stress. Restlessness, lack of motivation or focus. Erin, as she looks at herself on
what
the...
What did you just say?
Yeah, as you're checking out how you look on the camera
Hang
over
on,
here.
I gotta fix my hair.
Whatever. You know what?
It's not my fault.
You're
Your
showing
son's
signs
over
of
there.
stress. You're showing signs of stress.
Okay, anyway.
Lack of motivation or focus, feeling overwhelmed, irritability or anger, or sadness or depression. So here's the question, Erin. How many of those do you have in your life right now? And you cannot say, I have Joe in my life, therefore I have all of them.
Do we need to go one down the line? I'll just say check. Check.
No,
check.
I think anybody listening to this, you're feeling, especially in light of what's gone on over the last year. I mean, let's be real. There are stressful situations that occur in life, and then there are opportunities to respond to stress that is obviously dependent upon us. And here's where we're going to go tonight with this particular subject. And the deal is this, Erin, I know you and we understand that we're under stress. Parents are under stress. Teenagers are under stress.
I think after 2020, the whole world is under stress.
I was going to say this issue is not merely a hey, everybody's going back to school. This issue, when you start talking about health, you're talking about what have we been through in the last year? What have we been through in the last year and a half? What are we still going through? And if it's not the issue of health related, it could be the issue of jobs. It could be the issue of children and their schooling and what kind of schooling are they going to do. There's more than enough to go around, right?
Right.
So here's the deal, though. Do you believe, Erin, that we have the choice as to how to respond to stress? Or do you believe that it just happens? I don't know. What do you think?
What, is there a reason why you're asking me?
No. This is called...
of course. Of course we have. Wait, what was your question?
Do we get to choose how to respond to stress?
We choose how to respond.
Or is it one of those things that it just happens?
Well, I'm sure. Well, some people would say sometimes it just happens.
Hey, I'd like to know what the folks on Facebook are saying, what the folks in the live audience are saying. Do we get to respond, or is it just something that happens?
Well, okay. So I think it depends actually on what. Because, like, if you get a headache from stress, I don't know. I mean,
did you choose the headache? Is that what you're saying?
Right. I mean, part of me thinks, okay, this is probably a deeper discussion that maybe like we planned on getting into. But I mean, at some point, maybe if you would have handled the stress better, maybe you wouldn't have gotten a headache. But I don't think most people are like trying to get a headache from stress. But if you have an angry outburst because of the stress, I absolutely think that you can control that.
Which is quite interesting because the Mayo Clinic says that is a common effect of stress on your behavior, is angry outburst. If you're walking around always feeling like you're on the edge of an explosion, right, then that's chances are you're pretty stressed.
Right.
Overeating is also a part of that. Drug and alcohol usage, misuse, it says, tobacco use, social withdrawal, exercising less often. All of those are behavior-related responses to stress. Now, here's what you're saying, though, and I think this is a serious conversation. Do we get to respond? Do we have a choice in how to respond to stress, or is it one of those things our bodies and our minds just respond to? Involuntary, like you and I blink, and we don't think about blinking most of the time, right? So is our response to stress involuntary? I don't think it is. I'll just go ahead and tell you where I'm at on it. And here's why. Here's why I don't think it is. I think that stress, no doubt, has an impact on our well-being. However, I think what you said in the very beginning, which was if we responded to that stress in a certain way leading up to it, or our default was a certain way, then is it possible that we could have, not had some of the headaches and stuff like that? I don't know. Because different people are different ways.
Unfortunately, we're not doctors.
We're not doctors, but here's what I do know.
Although I could put the credentials at the end of my name, and then I would feel like one.
You could.
But I still wouldn't be one.
You could.
And I wouldn't know the exact answer.
Here's what I know, and this is where I want us to go tonight, okay?
Okay.
I want us to go to this. Now, while these texts that we're turning to are not going to answer every individual case as it pertains to stress, it does give us insight into the reality that while stress happens in life, you and I get to choose how to respond to the stress. Here's what I mean by that. One of the best places that we can turn in dealing with this, and of course, the word stress is not used.
Before you do, can I read a couple of the comments?
Yeah, I would love to hear them. Absolutely.
So Lee said, is both an answer? The initial response might be involuntary, but how we actively respond can get us ready for the next initial response to be better. Or, hang on, but how we actively respond can get us ready for the next initial response to be better. But then it has a question mark at the end.
Okay, so what you're saying is that each response builds to the next response. Is that what I'm understanding and what you said?
Do you want me to show it to you? Read that right there, Joe.
The initial response might be involuntary, but how we actively respond. Okay, so here's the deal. Yeah, what he's saying is the concept of sometimes our bodies from my blood pressure goes up to maybe I start sweating more, those are involuntary responses to stressful situations.
Right.
And I get that. So what was the next one, though? I was really curious what Chase has to say here.
You can go ahead and
Our
read
psychological response can be
I think
influenced
that's
by
physiological.
our physiological response can be influenced by our general outlook and attitude we carry before stressors start. We are not always in control of the physiological responses of our body, but our attitude and outlook is something we can control. So I think Chase and Lee, what you're both saying, of course, Chase, I nearly had you on the show for this one, but just being real with you. Of course, those of you who are listening, this is a perfect time for a plug. Chase, who is actually interacting with us live,
Great time for a plug,
is the author of our brand new book at Kyle Publications.
Brand new,
called
Wonderful.
I don't even know. It's
not called Wonderful.
Trials.
It is Trials. I know the name of the book.
I
mean, it is wonderful, but that's not the name of it.
It's not wonderful, Erin. We want to tell them it's Trials. But anyhow, Chase has a great book, just a shameless plug there from Kyle Publications.
Yes.
Dealing with some of these things. So here's the deal with Lee and Chase both making these comments. I want to make sure I clarify that. I would agree with what you're saying in the sense of our bodies will respond in some way to stress and anxiety in an involuntary manner. I.e., right? If that's what I'm supposed to say, or am I supposed to say
you right,
E-T-C?
You just say, for example.
For example, okay? For example, no worries. Hey, guys, in your life, I hope you have a grammar Nazi in your world.
I'm not a grammar Nazi.
Anyhow, the idea is this. She's a blessing. She really is. I'm not making that up. She helps keep me straight, because otherwise you all would think I didn't know what I was talking about. And so glad that we can go back and edit this. Oh, wait, we're live. We can't do that. So anyhow, here's the deal. From a standpoint of heart rate going up, breathing patterns changing, perhaps we begin to perspire at a little heavier rate. Thus, the deodorant needs to kick in a little extra. Nice. Good job. So the idea behind that, though, is
wait a minute. Time out. We have another comment.
Oh, good.
I'm loving the comments, so I'm just going to interrupt you.
Go,
okay.
interrupt.
You still have a choice in how you respond to stress. Each person will respond differently. I wish there was one set answer. We do know that God is our helper in our time of need. That only works when we, capitalized, make the decision to let him comfort us.
Okay, so then that's a choice. That's a choice again. And he's absolutely right. Was that our good friend Jerry?
That was our good friend Jerry.
He is, and he's right. The reality, and I guess this is the idea. When I pose the question, voluntary or involuntary, do we have a choice or do we not have a choice? Sometimes it puts us in camps. And I think what we're all getting down to, and you're falling greatly into my wonderful podcast trap, which is this. I believe that there's both an involuntary and a voluntary, but when I say involuntary, I mean this. Someone can't say, well, I'm stressed out, therefore I'm having an outburst of anger, therefore it's not my fault. That's not right. But when someone says...
Say that again. Sorry, I was reading a comment.
You're stressed.
No, I'm not, unless you want to make me stressed.
When somebody says, I'm stressed out, therefore I'm having an outburst of anger, you don't make me mad because I'm stressed. The reality is they are forfeiting their responsibility. They're
you're putting that on someone else. Don't put it on someone else.
You can't do that, right?
Although, I would say that if you're the somebody else, back away.
You don't have to go chasing a dragon.
All right, Jonathan said, what if Job was never recorded for us? There's great value in reading Job for stressful situations.
There's wonderful value in Job. I mean, obviously, if we're talking about individual case studies of who dealt with stress, let's face it, financial ruin, family death at a level that we would never want to experience, individuals who were supposedly there to comfort him, telling him he must have done something wrong. So you get false accusations. You get people not understanding your pain. So yeah, Job is a great situation. And of course, we need to remember this too, that Job also toward the end of it, God told him, get your big boy pants on and stand before me.
Says?
Hey,
okay, let me
that's
turn
in
to
there.
the
You're going to find that in the book of Job. Right? So here's the deal. But the idea was this, even Job dealt with it in a very human form towards the end of that book. But here's what I want us to get to, right? So if we can't always control our initial reaction of heart rate going up, breathing rates going up, maybe perspiration increasing to stressful situations. Here's what is interesting, that there are times that you can control your breathing and slow that down.
You know, as soon as you said that, I felt like I automatically had to change my breathing.
Absolutely. So we can slow down our breathing, right? We can pause. We can kind of gather ourselves, which goes back to then we have a choice in that. But here's where I want us to turn, because I don't want us just to use human logic in this. I want us to go to the Word of God and say, okay, what does God's Word say when it comes to dealing with stressful situations? And where I was going in Matthew chapter 7 is the Bible doesn't use the word stress, but it'll use the word anxiety. And oftentimes worry, anxiety, and stress, they can kind of be cousins in the same family, right? So here's the deal. Over in Matthew chapter 6, rather, not 7, Matthew chapter 6, we know that the Bible teaches in verse 33 of Matthew chapter 6, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. So I'm going to say this. Number one is focus. When it comes to stress, it is focus. Focus, Erin, focus. But here's also the deal. When he's dealing with this focus, he goes back, and of course, our translators made a beautiful, text break between verses 24 and 25 when Jesus would say, for this reason in verse 25, for this reason I say to you, do not be worried about your life. And then he gives it as to what you'll eat, what you'll drink, nor for your body as to what you'll put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? All right? And then he gives examples. He argues from the lesser to the greater is the idea in creation. The birds of the air, right? They don't worry about it, yet the Lord takes care of them. And he goes on and says in verse 27, and who of you, by being worried, can add a single hour to his life? In other words, your worrying doesn't add to your life. And he goes on, and why are you worried about the clothing? And then he argues again from the lesser to the greater, the lilies of the field, how God takes care of them. So the idea is this: don't worry. Here's what I want you to understand from a Matthew chapter. Don't worry.
My 80s inner child was coming out.
We can't do that.
Okay.
That's a copyright issue. Can't do that.
Oh.
So here's the deal. Even though our translators put a break between verses 24 and 25, when Jesus was speaking, he didn't say, hold on just one moment. Let me pause for a verse break. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
Yeah, I don't read that the Sermon on the Mount was, okay, now let me just pause here, put a pin in that one, and now I'm going to start verse 25. So the idea is this: these all flow together. And when you really flow verses 25 through the end of the chapter up backwards through chapter 6, what you get is this. You get individuals who are trying to serve two masters. They're not focused. Their heart is not set. Their decision is not made ahead of time whose they are, who's in control. And so there's a kind of an issue internally that's going on, not just in the standpoint of lack of focus, but in a standpoint of lack of pursuit, lack of clarity of pursuit. And that comes into play because when I go back and kind of go backwards through chapter 6, that's where I get into what reward are you seeking, and from whom are you seeking that reward? Am I seeking the reward from men, or am I seeking the reward from God? Is my reward temporary? Or is my reward going to come from God, and therefore it is eternal? And here's why I say all that. In the flow of this text, that's where he gets into seek ye first the kingdom. And so here's what I want us to understand. While stress does happen in our life, stressful situations occur, hardships happen, the reality is this: what Matthew 6 teaches us is there's got to be a settled internal focus that is continually keeping our eyes on the reward that God gives, on God being the good giver of those rewards. Therefore, when we deal with the seemingly stressful and oftentimes really stressful stuff, then we don't forget that God is still the rewarder of those who diligently seek him. Yes?
Someone brought up something, and it's kind of a good point. It's that Jesus was so stressed, his sweat became his drops of blood. So that's the physical response, right? Mm-hmm. But, and also with what you were saying, what were you just saying? Give the synopsis real quick.
A lot of good there. Keep your eyes focused on God as the giver of all good things.
Well, keeping your
He's
eyes
going to take care of you,
Jesus,
even in the difficult times.
As his sweat being blood, he was fulfilling a purpose. So obviously he was keeping his eyes on his purpose, but he knew it was coming. So the physical response.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we don't need to lose in this. And of course, it's hard to believe that a 30-minute show can almost be over. But the reality is this: stress is going to happen. It will happen. And I nearly did this, but time just didn't allow, because I thought this would make a great object illustration when it comes to
that's like Joe's favorite thing.
Audio
I thought
podcast.
about doing this object illustration.
That's right.
But I didn't, so let me just tell you about it.
So I'm going to have to give you a visual of this, okay? And I saw this the other day, and I thought this was beautiful. It was a picture and a description of why buildings are built with nails instead of screws. Okay? And what it was, it showed a screw. It showed a construction worker screwing a screw into a board, and then beside it, it had a nail sticking up, right? And so what the construction worker did then was to simulate strain and stress on that particular item. He took a hammer and he started hammering sideways the screw. Because, you hammer it down and it goes into the wood. Well, he started hammering it from one side and then he hammered it the other, and the screw snapped. Dun, dun, dun. But then he did the same thing to the nail. And guess what?
What?
The nail did not snap. Dun, dun, dun. And what it did was it was able to bend. And so the description of why buildings are built with nails instead of screws is because nails are able to bend under stress without breaking. And I guess what I'm trying to tell you is this. You will not be able to prevent all stress in your life. There's a shocker. So teenagers, let me tell you something. If you're feeling like there's an overwhelming amount of stress in your life, stress is going to happen. You can maybe minimize some of the stress, but you cannot prevent all the stress. Moms and dads, you already know it. You've lived there. You've been there, right? So here's the deal. When it comes to this, how do we become more like the nail and less like the screw? And I believe it's not in us in the sense of, well, I'm so great in the way I handle this. I firmly believe it's on whom we rely. If we rely on ourselves and do it our way, then we will find more apt of being broken. But if we continue to keep our eyes focused upon God, and He as the good gift giver, the one who promised us in Philippians chapter 4, right, when we start looking at the peace that passes all understanding, the peace that doesn't make sense according to mankind, how can you live under stressful situations but still have peace? The idea is this: stay with God. And the hard part is this: sometimes when stress occurs, we're like that person who's drowning in the water, and we can only think about our next breath. And so what happens is we're fighting and fighting and fighting just to get our next breath. And we really do that at times when it comes to stress in our life. And so I guess here's what I want you to understand. God has the ability to deal with whatever you're dealing with. He has the ability to handle that stress, and He really has given us the ability to bend without breaking. But that comes with individuals who continually seek peace from God. That was really good. You're speechless.
So good.
You're speechless. I will say this as a practical concept. The Mayo Clinic says this, that to manage stress, just some things you can do. Get regular physical activity, right? And maybe that means getting out of your chair and going to the refrigerator. I don't know.
Joe, that's not what that means.
He didn't say how much here. The Mayo Clinic doesn't say.
Do not listen to Joe.
All right, so here's some other stuff.
You're going to
like this.
Okay.
Practice relaxation techniques.
Text?
Not techniques. Do not text. As a matter of fact, I would say get away from texting. Practice relaxation techniques such as deep breathing, meditation, yoga, Tai Chi, not go get a chai tea.
Oh, but I love chai tea.
Or a massage, right? Number 3, keeping a sense of humor can actually help with stress. Humor can deal with stress. Spending time with family and friends can actually help relieve and reduce stress. And setting aside time for hobbies such as reading a book or listening to music.
Not aimlessly playing a game that doesn't take brain activity on your phone.
So let me look into this camera. Colton, give me the camera right here in front of me. Okay, you got me? Right here. In order to relieve stress, do not get on.
Hang on, he's not on you.
Uh-oh. Oh, we not on me? In order to relieve stress, I got to go this again. In order to relieve stress, don't get on social media. I know they're on social media right now.
But they're not trying to relieve stress right now. They're just trying to listen to a really great podcast.
Seriously though, listen. This is a good point. Okay, I've had 2 good points in this lesson.
two whole good points.
2 good points. One is this. There is a correlation that is being shown in the studies of an increased amount of time on social media, an increased amount of anxiety. And of course, the issue is what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Were anxious people turning to the internet to cope, or did getting on the internet cause anxiety? All I know is this: there is a correlation. So if you are feeling overwhelmed with stress, I would encourage you, don't go to social media to deal with your stress. Get away, step back, go on a walk.
You know what helped me last year? But see, this is also one of those things that I think, okay, this isn't always going to happen. So I almost hate to like bring this up, but it was such like a big moment in my life. But I remember there was some stuff going on last year. Of course, 2020 was a very stressful year. It was a hard year to be a travel agent and a traveling speaker. Let's just put it that way. And I remember several things happened that particular day, and I was feeling so stressed. Like I could feel like the health part, like the physical side was like, right. I could feel the stress. And so I decided, instead of sitting around and flipping out about it, that I was going to go take a nap. Just going to go take a nap, because sometimes it's not always a good idea to take a nap, and sometimes there's not always time to take a nap, but I was going to make time to take a nap. And I went and lay down, and I got calm, and I woke up, and not only did I feel more rested, like I could deal with the problem, but God had just kind of solved the problem. He'd solved the problem while I was asleep. It was like I just woke up, and it was all taken literally. Now, like I said, I kind of had to bring that up because that's not always how stress works. You don't just wake up and it's solved.
I think your point was very well made, and that was this: you went away from it. You did something to calm you down, which probably helped in your reaction to that, right? So
it did.
So I don't know, Erin. I think this is going to be a good season.
I do know we're 2 minutes over.
Nobody's counting.
Oh yeah.
Nobody's counting, right? Colton may be counting, but nobody else is counting. So here's the deal.
He's like, I am the producer of your show for one last time before I go to college, and you are over.
Hey, I'm excited about the season. It's going to be.
We're gonna have some great.
It's going to be some neat cultural connections, some good Bible study to that. But where the benefit's going to be, I think, obviously, is going to be on the people that we bring on the show, and so I'm excited about it. So be paying attention.
Tell your friends, share.
Pay attention to what we're doing with, obviously, on social media. I just told you to stay off of it, but now pay attention to what's going on social media. When it comes to our shows, we're going to try to be as consistent as can be. Sunday nights at 8:30 Central.
Okay, Colton's trying to type something on the computer to tell us you're going to have to make the font bigger. I have old eyes now.
Oh, he's saying this. Hey, don't forget, one of the cool things about the Hey Joe Show is
Instagram, Facebook, and the new book.
There you go. I think Erin just plugged everything at one time. So if you haven't gone over to the YouTube channel, we have the Hey Joe Show YouTube channel, and we are trying to obviously boost those who subscribe. There's reasons behind that. And if you haven't already done that, please go over to the YouTube channel and subscribe and follow us on Instagram. Obviously, like our page on Facebook, follow us there, and check us out on the website at kylepublications.org. And as Colton was saying, we want to make sure you hear it again on this particular subject. And we're going to have Chase on the podcast in this season because he's got a great book.
He agrees.
Oh, Chase, I have confidence, brother. You'll agree. I don't think we ran you off. But anyhow, he really does have a good book on this called Trials. And it's a practical way that you can incorporate in your life dealing with stress and anxiety and how to relieve that and respond in a manner that's God honoring. So obviously I would recommend that book. You can check that out at kylepublications.org or at any online shopping site that sells books. You'll find it there. So just do a search by Chase Turner. The book is called Trials. So anyhow, Erin, is there anything else? Look,
nothing.
No, we set the parameters of this show. I don't know why we're so worried about 30 minutes. The reality is this: people will continue to listen as long as they're interested.
And so you're just going to keep talking until they're not interested?
Man.
I'm kidding.
I guess it's time to go, folks. I guess it's time to go. So anyhow,
right.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for all the interaction. Oh, we love the interaction. So
Yeah, join us. You help make the show what it is. And so thank you for tuning in live. We don't want to sign off without thanking everybody at the lightnetwork.tv.
Thank you,
We're
Light
excited
Network.
about the new season. And obviously, truth.fm, if you have not gone over there yet, the Hey Joe Show has its own channel at truth.fm.
You hear the same episodes over and over and over.
Yeah, but
hey,
this
you can
is
go
like
back years.
Years of past
I mean,
episodes.
not that many years because we're not that old, but okay, we are that old.
pretty
All
old.
right. But we're still cool.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and sign
Apple
it off.
Podcasts.
Oh, yeah. Excuse me. Our producer over there is just showing words to Erin. It's like he's going to show the word like coyote here in a minute or puppy dog, and she's going to say puppy dog, right? Check us out on all the podcast download sites. Subscribe. There's no reason not to subscribe. I would point on the TV, but there's no button for you to push right here. So here's what you got to do.
But just remember, it's free to subscribe.
It is free.
He wrote that too.
It is free. There you go.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. We're going to go
Bye.
ahead and sign off.